Today, we're going to cover the ins and outs of the Jaltest CV software. As we covered on the beginning information, Jaltest CV is broke down into two screens, the auto and the manual. So we'll start with the auto. The auto allows you to pick the connector inside the cab and click on the picture. Once you do that, all you simply do is click the picture of the connector that you're plugging to inside the cab of the vehicle. Once you make that selection, it'll ask a question. Do you want to do a system scan or a system scan with fault code reading? This is your choice. Once you make your selection, you can simply check this box down here and go to proceed. And once you make that selection, if you want to check this box, it will remember that decision for every click going forward. So it will never ask this if you choose that. So we're going to do just a system scan. So we go to proceed. The software will auto detect every computer on the truck itself without you having to tell it what's on there or what choices you need to make. So now we've completed the system scan. Here's your engine, transmission, ABS, body controller, chassis controller, your on guard, your instrument cluster, and so on. So to simply go into something, all you have to do is click on where you want to go. So now we'll proceed into the engine. So you can highlight and click connect, or simply double click on what you want to go into. Now, once you connect, it's going to pull up the options available. So from here, we can go to fault code reading. So fault code reading will list out all the faults. Now, active faults will be in red. Inactive faults will be in gray. Other fault code status will be in yellow. The yellow is more, some OE fault codes require a certain amount of time for those fault codes to drop off. That's what that is. So some are 500 engine hours, then they'll drop off. That's what other fault code status is. The next selection, this is the fault code number. Here, where it has the times, is how many times did the fault occur. If there is a priority to the fault, you will see symbols like this bell and this triangle. What these means is that there's a priority to these fault codes. So once you put your mouse on, it'll tell you like this one's very high priority and this one's a high priority. If there is no priority, then those will just be blank. Then you have your fault code description. Now, if you notice over here, we have the I, the question mark, and this will be your troubleshooting. So the I, when you click on it, will be a timestamp and freeze frame data. So when you're connected live, the freeze frame data will be below that if the vehicle is capable of that. If you notice, it follows over. Here's your I, your question mark, and the troubleshooting. So once I click on help and components, a lot of times this will get in and talk about the effect to add, the possible causes of it. But down here is also listed the part that's related to the fault code. So when I go over here to see more information, this is the part related to the fault down through here. Now these pictures, and as you see all the information, these pictures you can click on, make them bigger, you can print them off, you can screenshot them, save it as a PDF, email them, whatever you'd like to do. The one thing that Jaltest software does not have is part numbers. So if you would like to take the time, you can actually click here on this plus, and you can add any information you like to this. So next time you go in, that information will be there. And then fault code troubleshooting. Now, if you notice, there's a world icon. What this world icon means is when I click on this link, it requires internet connection to work. So you have that icon here, and over here on the left side, there's 4. The only thing that is web-based about this tool is information. So if you need to run a regen, sonar cutout, clear faults, check faults, or any other testing, all of that is on the tool without internet. You don't need that. So once I click on fault code troubleshooting, this will take me to the information on how to repair or find out where the problem is with this fault code, so you can get the repair done quickly. So it starts at step 2 on this one because it bypassed step 1, which with Cummins, that's usually check for ECU update. So as you scroll down, all the information is embedded in here. So if you need to run a cylinder cutout or a DPF regen, it will add a hyperlink like these are. So once you click on it, it will take you to what you need to do. And then when you're finished, it will bring you back. And you can add your own customized troubleshooting to this if you would like. So once you're finished in reading fault codes, simply click the X and it will back you out. You can clear your fault codes from here. You can go to your system data. System data is anything that's programmed into the ECU, current software version, part numbers, all of that is listed down through here. Operation data. Operation data is where you get to your trip report reset, total vehicle report, engine operation data, engine abuse, or even after treatment data record. So it will capture on some manufacturers the last 10 regens that the truck did, how it was completed, what was the soot level. All that information is under operational data. Monitoring. This is where you can get to your live data. And if you notice, you have different options available. Now you can create your own and customize it if you like, and that's what we did here. But let's go into live data. Live data will give you any information that is sending anything through the engine to the ECU. So here you have temperatures, pressures, volumes, times. As you scroll down, you'll see here's voltage, torques, ranges, so on. You can search for certain values. You can come in here and uncheck the box and select just pressures if you like. Now, to select what you would like to monitor, all you have to do is check the box next to it. So if you notice, I'm not really counting. If you up here, I have 187 values and I've selected 6. So there's 3 different ways to look at this information. 2 of them, you can do as many as you want, but the graphing capability, you are limited to 8 values. So if you notice over here, this is your graph. So it's highlighted in blue. The moment that I select the 9th, this grays out. So keep in mind that to launch a graph, you're limited to 8 values. The 3 options is one is the magnifying glass. So once I click on that, it'll put this information into a digital format. And when you see these check marks, that means it's in acceptable range. So if I click the question mark, it goes back to that information that we looked at before, and it will give you that information so you can see like ranges or whatever you need to see if that's within that spec range. The other one is down here with the gauge. We call this the interactive view. So once I click on that, it just puts it into a different format. This is more how your preference is of looking at the information. And same way, your question marks to get to that information is right here for that part. And to scroll over, you just click the arrow and it takes you to the other 2 because this is limited to 6 on this screen at a time. Now, to launch the graph, you just select the graph. This will color code the information and graph it. Now, when the graph starts out, it's in 5-second increments. So you can click here to back that out to 10, or you can zoom that in all the way to 1-second increments. It's up to you. Now we're going to back out to 5 for a second. You notice that these are crossing over, which makes it hard to distinguish where the line starts and stops or what's really going on. So what you can do in this tool is come over here to these boxes and uncheck it. It does remove the information off of the screen. But the important feature about this is it never stops recording that information. All that happens when you uncheck this is it removes it from your field of view to make it cleaner. So if you simply just check the box, it'll put that back on the screen. Even if you pause this file and back it up, you can bring all that information back in as you like. If you notice, one of the other options is a system display. Now they offer this for engine, transmission, and ABS. So if I click on it, it's going to ask me which page do I want to start on. That's the first screen that comes up. We're going to go to fuel system. This is not a generic screen. This will be the system that is on the vehicle itself. So this is the whole fuel system for this. It shows your flow, where everything flows, how it flows, and then everything that pertains to that whole system. So to scroll over, you select the arrow. Here's your after treatment system, and so on. Now you get into actuating components and then system checks. So cylinder cutout, VGT, fuel system. As you scroll down, you should even be able to get into your DEF system, so your metering and so on. Parameters. The software allows you to do road speed, cruise speed, idle shutdown time, and so on. And those are all found under parameters. So all you have to do is open it up. Here's your idle speed, your engine warm up. So anything that the OE software would allow, that's what Jaltest is trying to mirror. Maintenance. It doesn't matter what you go to, if it's a Ford, if it's a Chevy, if it's an international truck or PACCAR, doesn't matter. If you ever need to run a regen, that will always be in your maintenance tab. So the important thing to remember here, guys, is if you don't know what something is, just by clicking on it doesn't make it run the test, okay? So if you don't know what something is, don't be scared to click on it. So if I click on SCR efficiency, you'll get this little warning. This is what's called expert code, and it just allows a shop to manage who can do what in the shop. So without the code, the tool becomes a code reader. So giving someone the expert code allows them to do more functionality. So all you have to do is check the box and click accept. The first thing you always come to is instructions. What does this test do? What are you about to do? So you can read up and see if this is something you want to do. Now, this is a lot of information here. So if you want to make notes to make this easier for you next time, you can click here and add customized help. You can say, hey, this test does this, whatever you want to do. If you don't want to do it, simply select the X. If you want to move forward, hit the check mark. So we'll cancel it. You also have calibration. So if you change a part on the engine and it needs calibrated to the engine, you select that. And then this is what needs calibrated. Configuration. This is where you can manage your passwords. You can set the date and time. This is under configuration. Data recorder. Data recorder allows you to pick 24 parameters. And I'll give you a scenario to make it easier to understand. If you need to do a road test, it allows you to pick 24 parameters of your choosing. And it will record everything for up to 90 minutes. And then you can come back and sit in your office or at your desk, wherever, and watch that file and see what things were doing as you were driving. If you notice up here, you have a search feature. So if you don't know where something is and you want to do, let's say, regen, as soon as you type REGEN, it starts bringing all that down. So if you click on maintenance, here's your regen. So the search box makes it easier to find what you are looking for. Now, the screen will look a little different in terms of, it will look the same on every vehicle, but it will look different depending on the year of the engine or the truck. And the reason being is because the newer engines have more options, older have less. So you could have calibration could be missing, maintenance could be missing because there's no regen or anything considered maintenance. So depending on the year of the vehicle, you could have as many as these or just a hair less. But the software will look the same on everything. So the middle is your testing. The left side is your information. So if I click on system technical data, this is information about your engine. So here's your fuel system information, lube system. If you need a torque spec, you're going to find that here. Now, torque specs are in 2 locations, and I'll show you the second location here, but system technical data, we'll get into more single value torque specs. And the other place is over here where it says vehicle vessel data. Yours won't say that, just say vehicle data. Vehicle data torque specs are more of like a flywheel or a cylinder head where there's a sequence and a stage involved in that. Intake and exhaust system, cooling system, it's just information. Also, what's up here is your components list. So we're just going to select, you select the one you want and move forward. Or you can select all of them and go in. This is more like if you need information on your accelerator pedal. This is where you're going to find all of that information. So as you scroll down, you can see all the different parts that you can get information on. So if you need torque specs or more voltage specs, this is where all that information's at. You can even search in here. So if you're looking for injector, you can bring all that down to that information. So once you click on it, it'll be the information about that part. Diagrams. Diagrams is going to be any wiring diagram that's associated to what you're on. So because we're on the engine, here's all the diagrams associated to the engine. So you select the one you want and move forward. The one thing to keep in mind about the diagrams, most people are used to just a flat diagram. Where Jaltest takes it a little above is when you hover over a part, it'll pop in the pictures. So as you click on those, it will open up to the information about that. Again, you can add your own information as you see fit. And then to scroll over, you just simply check down here with this arrow and it'll take you to the next page. Same way as we did before, there's search boxes in a lot of different areas of this tool to make it easier. So if I select, say I want to do injector, if I select what I'm looking for, it will highlight the part and locate it for me. So it's right here. So if I'm looking for injector 1, the page, and then it'll highlight it here. Just makes it easier. Now, if you'd like to select another wiring diagram, go up here and you can make your next selection and go to a different one. Maintenance data, I'm not really going to click on that, but I will explain it. It's more like a customizable PM checklist that you can create if you choose to. It is exactly what maintenance data is. Now, vehicle data. Now, this is where, if you notice the world icon, the next 4 down that we're going to click on is requires internet to connect. So vehicle data. You make your selection of what you're wanting the information on. And then we'll pull all that information in. So the reason they keep information like this web-based is so they can update it daily. So it's not tied to waiting on an update of the tool. It's updated daily via internet. So if you need your belt routing, this is where you're going to find it. So there's your fuel system, turbo, lubrication. Here's your valve adjustments and your liner height information. And if you notice on valve adjustments, here's even the procedure. So if I click here, it's going to tell me step by step how to do the valve adjustment. Tightening torque. So here's your torque specs. Like I said before, here's your cylinder head. So this is the sequence, and then the stages are below. Now, same as before, if you click on the picture, you can actually print these off. And if you notice, as we go down through here, here's your suspension, your wheel alignment, your braking system information. And then if you need fluids and capacities, that's all in here. You also have repair times built in here. So as I click here, it'll go into repair times. So if you need to do a belt replacement, all you do is select it and it starts building how long does that repair take. But at the same time, it's building a form. So if you click on this eye, you can see the form that you can print off and hand to your customer or whatever you'd like to do with it. You have troubleshooting by symptom. So if you have a symptom but no fault code, it will give you a trouble tree that you could go through. So if you have engine knocking, you will highlight that. And then remember, the check moves you forward. And then it'll go in and say step 1. And then it'll walk you through what to do. The next tab down is TSBs. So any tech service bulletins that are released by the OEs, this is where we put them. And then the next tab is component replacement guide. So if you don't know how to remove a part off the engine and then disassemble it, reassemble it, and then do the install, it's the procedure on how to do that. So you just select like alternator, check mark moves you forward, and it will walk you through how to change your alternator. So step by step, right down through here. Now to get back where we started, all you have to do is select diagnostic menu. Now, if you notice, there's a disconnect button up here. Disconnect does not disconnect you from the vehicle. It's only disconnecting you from whatever you're on. So because we're on the engine, now we're disconnecting, it'll take us back to the main screen. So now if I go into the transmission, it's going to give me a thing saying we opened up information over here on the left. Does it want to close? Accept that. Now, same way, highlight and click connect or double click. So the important thing to look at and remember is we went from the Cummins engine to Allison transmission, and the software doesn't look any different. So it's laid out the same way on everything. So if I go to fault code reading, it has the same layout. The only difference is when I click on actuating components, now everything is transmission based. So here's my shift solenoids. If I need maintenance, here's my oil change filter, my clutch wearing, adaptive shift resets, so on. It's all transmission related now. Because of that, over here on the left-hand side, even my diagrams is all transmission. So the software changes depending on where you're at to make everything with ease with the click of a button. Same way, disconnect. We'll go into ABS. And it looks the same, but now everything is ABS related. The reason I'm showing this is because if we've gone from OE software, just to say Cummins Insight, Allison Dock, Merit, or Wabco, none of those 3 programs look the same. So you have to use it daily or often to remember where features are, where Jaltest makes everything look and feel the same no matter what you go to. So disconnect. And then when you're finished, all you have to do is select the home. The home or the back arrow, both will disconnect from the vehicle. The software is going to ask if you want to save a diagnostic report. Now this is up to you. You can save this report. Now the file name I would not change, but if you're working with a fleet and you're going to be doing multiple connections to the same vehicle, even if it's over a 3-year span of time, I would never change this file name. What I would do is in license plate. This is where you could put your unit number or any information so you can keep track of what unit it is. But this part, the license plate, is a searchable feature in the report, so you can pull just the reports for whatever you put in there. The reports can be found up here where it says GRP. So once you click into that, and then there's an option that'll say reports, then you can go in and search from there. But all your reports are stored right here. Now, the other thing we're going to cover is how to access information without connecting to the vehicle. And it's simple. So you select manual. This would be your light, medium duty, your buses, trailers, trucks. And then you have a tab that says manufacturers. So we're going to click on manufacturer. If you notice here, it says 36. There's 36 brands. And here in the middle, it says favorite brands. What this is out of all these brands over here on the left, what is important to you so you don't have to scroll up and down. So if Volvo or Twin Brake or Thermo King or PSI is important to you, all you have to do is check the box. It puts it in the middle. So all you have to do is go in here and then select here and not scroll up and down. So you make your selection on what you want to get information on. So for training purposes, we're just going to click on Cummins. If I'm working on an ISX, you can come up here and search, or you can select here IS and then ISX. This will list out all your different ISX engines. So I select the engine that I want, and if you notice over here, the left-hand side highlights up. So I'm able to get to my components list and things we looked at before. So here's your components. If you want to look at lubrication system information, torque specs, this is where you find it. Diagrams is another one. You can get all your wiring diagrams. You can get to your vehicle data. So if you need your belt routing, cylinder head torque specs, valve adjustment, any of that information that's in here, this is where it's found. Troubleshooting by symptom, TSBs, and component replacement guide. That's all in here without connecting to the vehicle. The other thing you'll notice is there was one that says manual diagnostics. So if I click on manual diagnostics, what this is it's a hidden feature in the tool that allows you to type a fault code in and get repair information. So you go to manual, you select your engine, and you go to see information up here on the top right. Click on that. Now it's asking you to introduce your fault code. So we'll put the fault code in and then hit enter. And then this is my fault code. Here's the part related to it, the information on the part, right? And then your troubleshooting information. So that's how that works. And that works on every manufacturer. We just did Cummins. So international. If I click on that, here's my modules. Here's my body controllers, my door, my instrument cluster. It all works the same way. So what's available, let's say body computer. Here's my system diagram for my component information. Here's my wiring diagrams. So if you notice, you also have transmission, ABS, body controllers, engine. That's all in here. Where it becomes a little different is light, medium duty. So if I click on that, let's go to Ford. It's just done a different way. So if I scroll down, let's say 250, 2010, I want to go to the audio system, the braking. You can break all this out and just do engine. Once you highlight it, what's available, here's your wiring diagrams. Here's your technical data, and then so on. It's just done a different way because it's laid out. This is heavy duty, light, medium duty. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. We'd be happy to do a training with you or give you a demo to show you more about the tool.